Day.
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good.
Yep.
Good day at work.
Yep. Half day. Always good.
Yep. 4 hours. We love it. Me and Robert work at the same place. Running robot welders.
Yep.
And we've been visiting and became work friends, I would say.
Yep.
And shared some stories of our past, some good things and some hard things. He's a good friend of Brother Dave that I had on. So we've been talking about shooting some stuff. He had a interesting growing up in childhood. I'll say it that way. You'd probably say differently, but so I think we're going to dig into sharing some of that and letting Robert tell his story and some things that are on his mind. Because I found out that there's magic in the power of the mic.
Yeah. This is different. I've never done nothing like this. I thought, giving a little bit of my experience here and there during life, I felt like that was good enough. But from where I've came from to where I am today, I feel like for me to go above and beyond what I am right now and grow as a human and be a better man, father, employee, friend, whatever, I think it's about time to get some stuff off my chest, try to learn from it, grow, like you said, open that door, let it out, and then shut it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. I like how you put that.
If you can. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
I like to tell the young kids, when it's better just to not open that door. The door I'm talking about is drugs and alcohol.
Right.
I open the door, and the bad thing is the longer you leave the door open, the more crap it fills up with.
Yeah.
I always put it like everybody has that closet in their house growing up where you throw crap in, the coats or whatever, and you can't ever close it. Well, it's like that door. The more stuff you put in there, the harder it is to close. So, if you start going down that road, you can close it as quick as you can.
Yeah.
And
Everybody has that junk drawer.
Yeah, that junk drawer, and it gets to the point where you can't close it.
Yeah.
You got to clean it out.
Oh yeah.
So I guess a story and listening to somebody is not near as intriguing or as important unless you know the person. So why don't you give us a rundown? Robert, what's your last name?
Mount.
Mount.
Yep.
M-O-U-N-T.
Yep.
What's your your descendants? Where they come from? Do you know?
Mixed breed. Everything.
Mount. I figure you'd be Canadian. Mounties.
No, it changed. Again, I'll get into this a little later, but I've heard so much, and you just don't know. I heard my great grandfather when he came to Wichita,
There you go.
Kansas area, that he changed it to Mount.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it used to be something other than Mount. It was like, I forget. It was Mountain or something like that. I forget what it was. And then it got changed to Mount, and it's been Mount for 3 or 4 generations.
Can you just go in and change your name, like if we want, or your last name?
Back in the day, you could, yeah.
You can't no more?
Much easier. You can.
I know you can't first name.
Yeah. Well, you can go down, file whatever you want. You can have your name be whatever you want, as long as you pay the money and then do a background check on you, and if everything passes and you're not running from something, you can change it to whatever you want.
Yeah, well, I probably couldn't because I'm still running from my past. So, but if we did want to get it changed, we could probably call Nicky Six. He'd know how to do it.
Yeah.
Did you see The Dirt?
Yeah.
Did you watch that part where he changed his name and he lit the license on fire?
Yeah.
That was a crazy movie.
Yeah.
That was it. What's funny about that? You grew up with them, but I knew who Tommy Lee was, and I didn't really correlate Motley Crue and all that. You might think this is crazy. Maybe not. You're just a few years older than me, but I wasn't, just a little bit before my era. So, once I put it all together, I thought of Tommy Lee as Pamela Anderson when I think of Tommy Lee. But now I think of it Motley Crue and all that.
Right.
But what a wild story.
Yeah.
And what was their big tour with? Who was the crazy Ozzy?
Yeah,
Ozzy Osbourne.
yeah.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, I could imagine what went on, backstage.
I'd be dead. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So anyways, Robert, grew up in Wichita?
Yep. Whole life, born and raised South Side.
South Side. So people that don't know, give us some big roads that you were close to.
Pawnee and Seneca.
Okay.
Meridian and Pawnee.
Okay.
That area. Seneca Bowling Alley. I'm still over there.
Is that a decent area of Wichita?
It used to be back when I was younger, but everything's starting to... They used to say when I was young, on the other side of the railroad tracks, that's where it was bad.
Okay.
Well, now it's just a mixed bag over there now. Whole bunch of different
Sorry about that.
beggars and, homeless people, and, you got to shoo them away from being in your trash can, stuff like that. It's getting to be just like everything else. But, I mean, it's what I'm used to. I like it over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've lived South Side my whole life. Moved out West Side, a little bit of everywhere, but it's just not the same.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Have you been a welder most of your life, or did that
No.
just come to be?
no. When I was racing, I had to ask my ex-wife's brother. Anytime I needed something welded, I'd have him come over and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I was bugging him.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out and picked up a Lincoln welder, little 110 Lincoln welder, and a couple $100, brought it home, started welding.
Yeah.
I'd do the kick test. I'd kick it and fall off. I'd grind it off, do it all over again. And that's basically how I, self-taught. But I've always ran like machines and stuff like that my whole life. So that wasn't nothing new. But going in and working with Brandon and Isaac and, Dave and all them, they have the higher expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in lower than what a normal person would, just because I didn't have that welding experience.
Oh, so a lot of your welding experience comes from BMG. You've come. Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Isaac, Brandon, all them, they've took the time into, really teaching me. In between parts, I'd take bad material and something, and I would just start welding.
Oh, I see.
I'd 3 or 4 welds, put it away, do my job. When the robot's running, go over there, do a couple more welds. And I did that, and then I finally proved to him that, hey, he's picking it up, he's getting it, everything's good. So they did a welding test on me, and I ended up passing.
Oh, nice.
And that's when, I got, a little bit of a raise.
How long ago was that? Was that when you first started?
Yeah, 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. So you can pretty much weld anything by now, huh?
My confidence level, is there, but like overhead and stuff, I've never really done much of that. But yeah, I can.
Well, you've run wives. Or do you not put them overhead? You turn them?
Yeah, I turn them.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Me being so short, it makes sense for me to lay it down and do it like that instead of having it flipped over and then doing it above.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just flip it the other way and do it below.
Oh, I thought about that the other day
Yeah.
when I was running that. I could just flip this and I wouldn't have to be doing an overhead.
Right.
But the way I clean it, I've gotten so used to it now. Now I'm probably 300-400 maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
Probably have done about 300. I've run white almost the whole time I've been there.
Yeah.
So I would say it's probably getting close to 300. I would think.
Or even
Maybe
more.
Well, say I average out 14 a day, 2 weeks. No, we're getting into too much.
Yeah,
We're getting off on a tangent here. Anyways, so for those of y'all that don't know, obviously none of you do know, Robert kind of grew up in a household where there was some substance abuse and stuff like that, and I think that's some of the stuff we're going to get into, and he's going to talk about that, just to let everybody know where the conversation's headed. So if that's been a struggle in your family, please stay tuned, because that's where we're headed. So, grew up in Wichita, Pawnee and Seneca. Were both your parents in the household?
They split up when I was 2.5.
Okay, so you're like me, you don't really remember them together?
Right.
Okay.
Right. My sister's 2.5 years older than me, and so she was 5, I was 2.5.
Okay.
They split up, and I don't remember much of it, but I do remember being younger, because how it was my dad lived on a block, and then 4 houses down on the other side of the block, my grandma and grandpa lived there.
Okay.
My mom's mom and dad. So we would go down there when it was time for, mom to take us or something. And if she was busy doing her thing, we would just go down to grandma's, and they would cook us dinner and take us out. And, so grandma really stepped in to be that mom figure, while I was young.
Yeah.
So.
That's good. That seems to be quite prevalent throughout the U.S. I know quite a few. One of my best friends in Texas, his grandma kind of stepped in and raised him.
Yeah.
And so you all live together or around the same area.
Yep.
And so mom kicked dad out, or how'd that go?
Well, how it went was 2 kids, 2.5, 4, 5. Dad says, all right, dad worked, mom didn't work, she stayed at home. Dad said, all right, well, we can't party all the time like we used to. We need to start, we got a kid. That was my grandfather's house. And then my uncle ended up passing away drunk driving.
Oh, wow.
So grandpa said, I can't live here no more. So he ended up giving the house to my father and mom. And he went on the north side and bought him a different house.
Okay.
So mortgage free, everything was, pretty well. It was a decent house. It wasn't nothing big or nothing, but for the south side, it was 3 bedroom, 1 bath, decent yard. And then, so dad had the house, mom ended up moving, and
So when they
they
broke up,
split,
mom moved out.
Yep.
And did you go with mom?
Nope.
Stay with dad.
Yep.
And your sister?
Yep.
What's
we
her
both
name?
stayed with dad, Tiffany.
Tiffany. So did you all stay with dad forever, or did somebody go live with mom?
Yeah. And how it came to be was, dad's by the book, okay, well, we're divorcing, we need to go get lawyers, all this. And everybody kept telling dad, well, you might as well tell your kids goodbye because this is a female state, the rumors.
Yeah.
So dad went out and bought a female lawyer, and first day going to court for custody and everything, mom came in drunk.
Oh boy. So,
and the judge said, okay, well, I smell alcohol, both of you guys need to go take a UA and then we'll deal with it afterwards. So after the UA and everything, an hour later, mom got popped with over an abundance amount of alcohol in her system. Dad's, clean. So right there, judge said, okay, dad, you get both kids, and mom, we'll set up times for you to see your kids. Mm-hmm. And that worked for a while. The older I got, it was whenever she felt like it. She never really had a job. Grandma paid behind everybody's back. Grandma paid her way, rent, groceries, utility, whatever, car, insurance. Every time mom got popped with a DUI, grandma would get the lawyer, keep her out of jail. I think she ended up having 7 DUIs, never spent a day in jail, never went to prison, never did nothing. She did rehab several times, work release, and that's the only really time she had a job is when she was forced. But minute once she got off of work release, that job was no more. So.
Well, even though we probably love grandma, you know what we call that?
Enabler. Yep.
Enabler.
And the crazy thing is now they're both living together. Grandpa passed away. Mom moved in to take care of grandma.
Yeah.
And she's still doing what she did 30 years ago. And grandma's realizing, oh, well, what your kids are saying about you when they were young, what all your boyfriends are saying. Well, I understand now why they were saying that.
It seems it's hard to see as a parent. I've got a similar situation in my family that there's a person that the parents, even though this person's like 60 years old, he still makes all good decisions, and everybody's telling for years, no, that's a problem. But it's like, I think it's just real hard for parents to see that their child's not good.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up, your mom was just in and out of jail, DUI, stuff like that.
Yep. She would call, if she's in work release, that's when normally I would talk to her the most. And that was the most sickening feeling. You watch a movie or, see something on, online or something, and you hear the difference of the telephone, the jail telephone or work release telephone, that's the static. That's my memory of talking to my mom when I was young. Dad would say, hey, your mom's on the phone. Oh, is she going to come and get me? I would, well, she's in a little bit of trouble. And Dad, I can say Dad never really talked down on Mom.
That's good.
He could have. He had plenty enough opportunities to. But, again, he done everything by the books. Right or wrong, that's, my lawyer told me not to say nothing bad in front of my kids about the mother, so he didn't. But he let her dig her own grave. Yeah. Basically. It was, when I get out of here, we're going to go fishing. Always loved fishing. She knew that. She would say, get out. Okay, well, I'm going to come and pick you up Friday. I'd be at the door Friday waiting, right after school. Dad would, cook dinner, and is Mom coming? Well, I don't know, buddy. We'll see. He was trying to prepare me, but he couldn't or didn't want to say nothing. Well, I doubt she's going to come. And my dad's a good man, but when I hit a certain age, he was always there for me and my sister when we were young. Good man, took care of us, went to work, no education, couldn't read or write, my sister was filling out document papers, for my father when she was 6, 7, 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
Just because Dad couldn't do it, And
what did he do for a living?
He did everything. He's worked in the glass industry, driving, basically this the kind of work we do.
A lot of manual labor stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
Just never found anything to really settle into.
Well, he had no. Dad was and he still is, be happy with $7 an hour.
Oh, really?
And he would never push to achieve higher goals, because minute one he started pushing, they would quickly put him in his place. And he says, well, I have 2 kids, I'm single, I have to have this job. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah,
So he just learned to be kind of docile and just do his work at home.
Yeah. He's in his 60s right now, and we were talking probably a couple months ago, and he said the most money he's ever made was when he was 53 and he was making $13 an hour. Yeah.
Wow.
And it took him 7 years to get 13.
Well, more power to him for raising kids on much less than that at the time.
Well, thankfully, my grandma stepped in and paid child support all them years.
Oh.
Yeah. My mom wasn't going to do it, and if she got caught up not paying, she would go to jail. Grandma didn't want that.
Yeah.
So she just stepped in and paid it. No questions asked.
So all through your childhood, she was pretty much not around much?
I want to say from the divorce at two and a half to probably, 7, 8, 9. Then she started coming around more.
Okay.
And that's when I started remembering more. Thinking back, I couldn't really remember much, except for going down to Grandma's, eating dinner with them, stuff like that, going to the grocery store.
Yeah.
But a little bit later, probably 7, 8, 9 is when my mom started coming in because she was partying all the time. But it didn't change. Minute one, she would come and pick me and my sister up. She didn't really have a place. And if she did, Grandma paid for it. Well, she was partying, and the party didn't stop even though she had children in the back seat. So we went where the party was at Young. And normally it was going to the lake, which I didn't mind because I fished. We'd go out to the lake. And I remember, it's going to sound crazy or whatever, but being 6, 7 years old in the back seat with her and some other random dude in the front seat smoking a joint or something, and I'm back there, windows rolled up, getting contact high at 7, 8 years old.
Goodness.
And it was like, that stuff was normal for me around Mom, but minute one I got with Dad, it was different, But yeah, it was motel rooms. We did a lot of motel rooms just because we knew there was no bugs, electricity's gonna be on, and Grandma flipped that bill. There's times where we hardly even ate dinner with Mom because she was so wrapped up. She wouldn't start cooking until 1, 2 a.m. Well, we're already asleep. And
now around this age, like 7, 8, 9, when you're doing these things, you going to the lake, was your mom, as far as you know, just kind of drinking and smoking a little pot, or was she doing anything?
As far as I know, because I was so young, I didn't know nothing different.
Who knows?
I knew what I seen, and she would drink and smoke weed. When I got a little bit older is when I found me and my sister was in the front seat waiting on, again, a random guy to get out of whatever he was doing for him to hang out with Mom. Mom said, or my sister asked, hey, do you have something? I forget what it was, but she's like, yeah, it's in my purse. Well, we started looking at her purse and we found a spoon with white powder on it, white substance, whatever. And hey, what is this? And then, that was, I just had Dairy Queen. I forgot to throw the spoon away. Stuff like that.
And you started noticing stuff like that around when?
Probably 8, 9, 10.
Around there?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're starting to become aware, kind of.
Yeah. And then the older I got, the more I've noticed. And the worse things started getting. But, I mean, it was, when you went with Mom on the weekend, you can do whatever you want. I mean, imagine being 7, 8 years old out at the lake, your mom over here partying with some random people, and you're lighting fires and, I mean, I did whatever I wanted. Was it fun? Yeah. But when I was, when I would go to sleep out of the lake, I didn't have no blanket. I didn't have no pillow. I didn't have, wherever I fell, I slept.
Just lay down and grass.
Yeah. And Mom didn't care because she was passed out somewhere. I mean, I woke up and thinking about this, it's a story about that. Mom came and picked me up one, I think it was Friday evening, and Mom says, hey, you want to go fishing? Of course, yeah, I do. So we loaded up and everything and went to the bar. I stayed out in the car. She says, I'm going to go get my friend. I'll be right back. She probably picked me up, I would say around 5, 6-ish, something like that. She didn't get back into the car until nighttime. So I was in the parking lot of a bar, probably 9, 10 years old, sitting in the back seat. She says, I'll be back in a minute. Yeah. 2, 3 hours pass. She comes out drunk with some random guy. And she says, okay, let's go camping. And I'm over here like half tired, sleeping.
Yeah.
And we ended up driving. I don't know where we were. I was young. We ended up getting to a little part of a river, I guess it was. And we got out. He started the fire. They kept drinking and smoking pot this whole time, And I'm in the back seat, freaking out. Me being young, it was a lot of sick to your stomach moments with Mom. There was a lot of freedom, but that freedom was loneliness.
Yeah.
No, how do I put it? No boundaries. No, I felt like if something bad happened right now, an adult would not fix it.
Yeah.
Sickening, lonely, scared, with Mom. And that was every time we'd go. And my sister stopped coming. It was just me now. And
because she probably had those feelings too, so she didn't even want to go anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, you were a little braver.
Yeah. Well, because I had fun and I wanted to fish.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Mom says, okay, well, I can occupy him with fishing. And I can do whatever I want without him even caring. But we finally got to a part of the river, and I don't know where it was, where we were. I have no clue. We drove for a long time. But being 10 years old, a long time is 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But we get there and everything. No blankets, no pillows, no nothing. Rock. It was hot, so we didn't need to cover up. Well, Mom ended up finding a blanket in the trunk, and her boyfriend, or whoever it was, passed out, and with that blanket, and I ended up, doing what I do, going by the fire, laying down, going to sleep. Woke up, millions upon millions of mosquito bites everywhere on my body. And Mom freaked out, didn't know what to do. Ended up taking me back to Dad's house, and Dad was upset. Well, go sit in the bathtub, soak. I was in pain. Everything was just raw. And that's like, I think back, being an adult now with a 6-year-old kid, that reminds me of just me. Him right now at 6 reminds me of 6.
Sure.
Hyper, want to fish, want to be outside, just want to go. And thinking back of doing that to my kid right now, how could you do that? Addiction.
Yeah. It makes you a different person. It makes me emotional just listening to talk to you and knowing that you're sure trying to do things different with your kid. Yeah, I imagine you sit there and look at him and you go, there's no way I could do that.
Yeah, no way.
There's a fine line, I think we say, well, that was the addiction, and it probably was, but I think for people, especially in your situation, it's probably kind of hard to hear that. Well, no, it was my mom doing it to me, and I suppose to some extent it was, but definitely, and that's why I asked you earlier about drugs and pot, because obviously, although bringing your kid around that, if I had to choose, I'd rather have a drunk mom than a crackhead mom, because there's no love there. That takes your soul.
Yeah.
And sounds like maybe that's kind of where it headed a little bit.
Yeah, it veered that way very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it. My mom, beautiful woman, cheerleader, good grades.
So you could probably see the change when she switched from weed and alcohol to doing hard drugs?
Yep.
Because it don't take long.
No, not long at all.
Probably within that year you knew something was different.
Yep. Eyes started sinking in, dark circles.
And how old were you then when you kind of...
Probably 12.
About 12?
Yeah, that's 11, 12 is when I started noticing, wow, my mom's not, not my mom. And I quit talking to my mom for probably 4 years because she kept putting me in situations. And finally, when I got to be a teenager, I said, enough's enough. I can't do it. But it was just everything leading up from there. And it's crazy because I love my mom. I've helped her in the past, but I had to realize that she was trying to do the same thing, because I'm the only boy in my family.
Okay.
All girls. My dad always tells me, or told me and tells me, you being the only boy, I thought you were gonna be spoiled. I thought everybody was gonna spoil you. You know, well, it was the opposite. I was the outcast. I was a black sheep. I was, you know, oh, look at these girls. Hey, Robert, you know, get out of the way. You know, and that's been like that my whole life. You know, and till this day, Dad will say, I don't understand why nobody spoiled you, or I don't understand why you were always neglected. And everybody knows I've been neglected, you know, in my family. Everybody knows I'm the black sheep. And I felt like saying, Dad, why did you want everybody else to love me and spoil me? Why didn't you do that?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and it comes to, you know, I hit a certain, and it was probably 6th grade, so what is that, 11, 12 years old, something like that. I seen my dad change. My dad, I had loved my dad. I had the utmost respect for my dad. He was Superman.
Yeah.
He had the fastest car, you know, he strongest everything. But it's like, you know, when I hit a certain age, it was, oh, well, you're costing me too much money. You know, this is me, my money, me, mine. You know, I remember getting thrown through a wall because I needed shoes for school. Payless shoes.
So he became kind of abusive later on in life?
Yeah. It was, my sister's gone. She, you know, started doing her own thing. Mom's not in the picture, and it was verbally attacking me. Oh, you're just like your mom. Oh, you're gonna be worthless. You know, and I remember him, and it's a joke now in my family, but back then I didn't realize what it was doing. But I couldn't talk to nobody. I couldn't, you know, I suffer from anxiety right now. And I remember being 5, 6 years old having anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
And I thought it was normal, unnatural. And then the older I got, everybody at school and stuff started talking about, well, you're going to feel things with your body, you know, puberty and stuff. I thought the anxiety was the puberty.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when I try to go and talk to somebody, you know, me being, you know, oh, life sucks, then you die, son. You know, imagine getting told that, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, you know, every time you go try to talk to somebody or something.
Let me ask you this. Do you think he became negative, or do you think that you started to change? That's the question I was thinking about, telling that you got old enough to realize that, you know, maybe he kind of was that way, or do you actually think he just all of a sudden changed? Or
No.
did you just get old enough to see these things?
We do have a lot of video. Dad filmed us as kids a lot.
Yeah.
And you can see on that video true love for his children.
So something probably changed in his life,
Yeah.
or he just got tired of life beating him down,
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah.
and then obviously you take it out on the people you love.
Right. And you know, I love my dad, you know. I love my mom and my dad. I'll do things for them, you know, help them out, you know, if I can, you know, and not even really hesitate to do it. But there was a time in my life where I didn't care if they died. I didn't care, you know. I had so much, I didn't care. You know, I didn't talk to nobody in my family. My mom, my dad, my sister, my grandma.
Through your teenage years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my teenage years, 14, I was gone.
Moved out?
Well, got kicked out.
Okay.
But, yeah. And how that goes is, worked at Taco Tico, first job, 14 years old, part-time, going to school, you know, coming home, going to work, saved up some money. Well, back when I was a teenager, Nikes, They were, $120, $140. You were somebody if you were walking around with some nice Nikes.
Oh yeah, we're about the same age. Yeah,
Yeah.
You walked into school after summer, and your new school shoes were a new pair of Nikes.
Yeah.
Boy, you was up there. You was
Oh,
a
yeah.
bag up.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I was making, I think it was $5.14 an hour, busting my butt, doing what I thought was right,
Mm-hmm.
and saved up for 6-7 months, because I had a car at that time, so I was paying, car stuff and all that.
Sure.
But walk in the house one night, I went to the mall, got money saved up. I saved up $150. Went to the mall, bought $149.99.
Yeah.
I blew everything I had saved up on these, nice Nikes.
Uh-huh.
And I walk in so proud of myself. I achieved a goal.
Mm-hmm.
I did what I wanted to do. It took me a long time to do it, but I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked in just strutting. It walked in Dad's house.
Yeah.
And I remember it. I remember a lot of this stuff, like it was yesterday. But he's sitting in his recliner chair, rocking, watching TV. I walk in, just standing there, chest high. I achieved my goal. He looks down. He's like, "What are those?" I was like, "These are my new shoes." He bought me Payless. He would buy Tiffany Nikes, but never me.
Mm-hmm.
But he says, "Oh, how much was them?" I said, $150, something like that. And he says, "Well, you got money for that. You got money to get the hell out." I says, "What?" He says, "Yeah, you got money for that. You got money to, support yourself." I says, "I can take them back." He says, "No, you made your decision." So I walked to the room, thinking, why is he mad? He should be happy for his child.
Yeah.
And it was like a few days later, I got off school, came home, and my stuff was packed.
All of the shoes. You didn't have an argument or nothing. All about that, huh?
Yep.
Well, of course, now that you're older, it's definitely something inside of him. Had nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
That was some sort of anger. He probably had a $150 electric bill he didn't know how he was going to cover, and
Right.
you came with $150
Yeah.
shoes. But I mean, wow.
Yeah.
I would say I've kind of in a weird way got kicked out maybe a couple of times with my dad, but yeah, never something like that. I couldn't really imagine that.
Yeah. Well, see, he ended up kicking me out, and I says, "Okay, cool, I'll leave." I slept in my car for a while.
Yeah.
Jumped around, place to place. Finally, I had a girlfriend at the time. I ended up living with them, and I didn't talk to nobody. Well, I ended up talking to my sister a couple months down the road,
Mm-hmm.
and told her where I was. Well, Dad got a call from the school saying, "Hey, this is your kid. He hasn't been to school. You're gonna get in trouble." Well, now I'm gonna get in trouble, so let me go pick him up. So he come picked me up, and I was like, "No, you kicked me out. I ain't going back. I'm done with all this abuse. I'd rather be living on the streets in a cardboard box than deal with this crap." And he ended up taking me back home reluctantly, but I went.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a matter of time. It was, "Get out of my house. You're worthless." Oh well. Finally, he found out that he can sign.
Emancipation.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily that. It was sign me out of school.
Oh, okay.
That way, if anything happens to me, there's nothing linking me to him.
Sure.
So he went over, signed the papers, and then he says, "Okay, I don't care what you do, go." And that's when I left.
Yeah.
Never been back.
And that was around
14, 15.
So around 15, you finally officially moved out.
Yeah.
Been on your own ever since.
For the most part, sometimes I'll get in a bad situation, and I moved in with my mom. Worst thing happened to do.
This is when she was living with her grandma or had her own place?
I had her own place, but grandma paid.
Okay.
And it was just probably 6-7 blocks down from where I'm at now.
Okay.
Same south side, same
Yeah.
area. But I ended up losing my job because Mom had a tendency to get high and think that everything plugged in is going to catch fire. So she would just start unplugging everything. Well,
she was definitely using hard stuff by then.
Yeah. And
sounds like something I'd have done in the past.
Yeah. Well,
not funny, but
yeah,
it's true. It's truth of the matter.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it was comical watching this stuff, but then it was like, that's my mom.
Yeah, it's ultimately sad.
Yeah. But
she unplugged your alarm clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew. I figured that's where that was going.
Yeah. And
thought it was gonna catch on fire and blow you up.
Yeah. Well, I was late one too many times because of that, and I got fired.
Yeah, nice.
So
at this time, you knew your mom had a pretty serious drug problem.
Yeah.
At this time, was she an everyday user, you think, or was she kind of just in and out?
Probably every day.
Really?
You know, and I don't know much about it, but I would. She goes pretty hard on whatever she does.
Yeah.
You know, she still drinks. She still does all this stuff. You know, 6 years old, still doing it. You know, it's just, it's sad because when I was young, and I don't know how this is going to make me look or whatever, but when I was young, I always told myself, I wish I can tie my mom up to a chair and force her to listen to what I have to say.
Sure.
Because every time I bring something up or mention something, it's, oh, I don't remember that, I was drunk. Or, no, you're lying. Or, I left you with your dad because that was the best thing to do. Well, what the best thing to do was get off the drugs and alcohol and raise your dang kids. Mm-hmm. That's the best thing to do. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's... me being older and everything, this was probably 5-6 months ago, she kept calling. The only time she would call me is to borrow money.
Yeah.
And I went out and I let them, you know, I noticed that they were in a situation, her and grandma, because they're living together. I noticed that they were in a bind and needed help. Well, God's blessed me with a good job, you know, and now that in my past, every time I spent money, something bad would happen. So now it's hard for me to spend money on myself. So I can save. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, somebody in my family needs money. Sure, not a problem. But it seemed like the only time that they would call is when they needed money.
Yeah.
You know, and finally I gave them $500-600, and it was to buy a hot water tank because there's one out. I went over there to try to fix it. It was done.
Yeah.
So, you know, here's the money. We need to go get you another one. Ended up calling around, finding a guy. Good man. His name was Daryl. Don't want to say last name or nothing, but godly man. You know, he's on Facebook. He does awesome stuff with the homeless, and
oh wow,
yeah, he's a good man. I'll try to link you up or whatever.
He's
afterwards.
a contractor. Does
no, he works in a delivery semi-driving job.
Okay.
And on his spare time, he's a single father with, you know, a daughter that I don't know what kind of problems she has, but you know, some sort of disorder or whatever. I don't want to say the wrong one, but
sure.
And he stepped up to the plate, and he's doing what a lot of men are doing now and raising their children.
Yeah.
You know, but on the weekend stuff, he'll get everybody together, cook food, go hand them out to the homeless. He'll do church on the side of the road.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And then he helps fix stuff or just whatever.
Just whatever. If you need something, he knows a lot of people.
Yeah.
If you need something, give him a call. Hey, you know, grandma's hot water tank. Okay, I got a guy. I'll call you back.
Okay.
Well, he ended up calling back and says, well, I can get you this delivered to you, put in for $550. But that's unheard of.
Yeah.
But, you know, through his guy or whatever, cool. Mm-hmm. Call mom, say, this was 2 days later. Call mom, say, hey mom, I got a guy, that $500, $600 I gave you, hold on to that. Oh, well, we've already spent that.
Oh, no.
I'm like, oh, okay. Well, how much left you got? I don't know, about $100.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, okay, well, what did you do? And then, you know, oh well, you know. So I was like, okay, mad, hung up.
Drugs in the casino, probably.
Yeah, yeah, and you know it's sad because my grandma's getting put in between all this.
Yeah.
But again, she's the enabler.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing what she gets put through, it's like, Grandma, enough's enough.
Yeah.
You know, when I was young, the stuff that she used to do to me, you know, I would get hit randomly. You know, if you woke her up before 3 p.m., you know, you were getting yelled at, hit, you know, wet towels, whatever she had. Yeah. You know, she used to accuse me at 10 years old of, you know, doing drugs. Let me see between your toes. I'm like, what? You know, I didn't know nothing about it.
Meant back then.
Yeah, but she would, you know, and I started putting, she was high, and that was her, you know, thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's just, I can imagine what Grandma's going through.
What was what's Grandma like? How's Grandma? Just pretty much like grandmas, or?
She's a sweet woman that will do anything for anybody.
Yeah.
But and she's a little woman, you know, she's 100 pounds, 5'4", you know, cooks. Yeah, I mean, she's a good woman. Grandpa got lucky with her. But again, she's done stuff behind Grandpa's back, you know, paying bills and you know, doing all the stuff that she did. But minute one of Mom's boyfriends or something would hit my mom or, you know, beat her up or something, Grandma would chase him with a bat.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I mean she's, you know, back when she had money when Grandpa was alive, you know, you go over and visit, she'd slip you $100. I'm like, all right, you know, but now it's total opposite. You can see just everything's drained, everything's, you know, and I told her, I says, you can give her the house, you can come move in with me, you don't have to pay nothing. You know, you wouldn't be my babysitter. You need to live your life.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting up there in age. You need to start having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my mom won't let her go nowhere, talk to nobody, you know, without Mom being there.
Oh, wow.
Because Grandma's money is my mom's money.
Yeah, kind of her piggy bank. She don't want nobody messing with her.
Exactly.
I see that.
Yeah. So it's ran the toll on Grandma probably 5 years now that Grandpa's been passed away. But, you know, the only thing
what did Grandpa, sorry to cut you off, what did Grandpa think of all this and his daughter and stuff? Did he see or did he not see either?
Mom lied to him and would blame everything else. Well, why'd you get thrown in jail this time? Oh, well, Robert came over and started messing up the house and breaking things, and the cops got called, and I got thrown in jail. So Grandpa would not allow me on their property because he thought I got his daughter thrown in jail. You name it.
Wasn't even true at all.
Nope.
Huh.
Nope.
Wow. Well, yeah, it sounds like she really had that pull over her parents. Some kids get, no matter how old they get, the parents just think their kids are awesome. I like I said, I've seen that in my family, and my mom has not been like that. Very loving, but if you do something stupid, you did something stupid. And the older I get, the more I appreciate that. What would you have any advice to people that are going through the same thing with parents or their kids on how, well, really from your standpoint, growing up and not giving into that lifestyle, because the statistics are very high that you should have became a user or you shouldn't be a good dad.
37, I've never been drunk.
Really? That's amazing.
You know, I'll have a drink, you know, don't drink beer, nothing like that. But, you know, I have a bottle of Parrot Bay at home, you know, coconut rum. it's probably been sitting up there for 2 years.
Well, a lot of people can have alcohol around when you have guests over or whatever, or some
Yeah.
random night, you're like, I want to drink, but people like me, we just can't.
Yeah.
Because if I had a bottle of Parabane and I was still drinking, about half of it would be gone already because we've been off work for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So that's why I just have to not have it. But is there do you think in your mind you just saw all the evil, so you never wanted to go down that road?
Yeah.
Or do you think there's things people can do that are in that and struggling with
There's only two ways you can go. You can either learn from their mistakes,
Mhm.
or you can try to make your own. And I've made mistakes. Even though I wasn't addicted to drugs and alcohol and all that stuff, I smoked pot for a good summer,
Yeah.
But it made my anxiety way worse.
Yeah.
It made me lazy. I was always the let's go ride dirt bikes, let's go outside, let's go have fun. Oh no, man, let's just play video games and relax. And
I hated that.
Yeah.
My buddies got into that. I'm like, let's go outside.
Yeah.
And
I quit. I quit just one morning. I had a really, really bad anxiety attacks after smoking. And I was like, I can't keep doing this.
yeah.
So I quit doing that.
So that was the extent of your partying career right there, one summer.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So like through high school, when everybody was really partying, you just shied away from that, or were you kind of a loner? Or
I was a loner. I had a lot of people that knew me. I was popular in my own little
Sure.
area. I lift weights, play football, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and this is gonna make me sound bad or whatever, but again, my drug of choice was random sex.
Yeah.
It was, and this is crazy because the older I get, the more I think about it and put things together. I seen how mom did everybody, all of her boyfriends, all of, I can be here for several hours saying little stories. We was out in Augusta. Mom lived in Augusta for a while. Out there setting fire to a pole. Mom didn't care. Go have fun as long as you're not messing with me. So yeah, we had a pipe by the house, and it was like an angle, and I'd put a little bit of lighter fluid in it, catch a fire. I was probably 7, 8, 9 years old, and it would,
Oh,
I would do that all night long.
That's dangerous.
While mom and her boyfriend's partying on the side of the house. Well, I remember commotion, looking over, and I remember a dude headbutt my mom stumbling towards me, blood all the way down her house.
Goodness.
Yeah, call the cops. I mean, it was just random stuff like that, and that made me not like women, because I've seen how women could manipulate a man. I seen it. We got a $500 or a $200 bar tab. Can I take you out back and we can settle this?
Oh, goodness, yeah.
This was constant.
So you part of you probably maybe because you don't think your mom has much respect for herself as she shouldn't have. That doesn't seem like that's the angle you're going with. You had different feelings towards that.
Yeah, I just the
You
pain
thought
and
everybody
everything.
was like your mom.
Yeah.
And you saw her
Yeah.
manipulate a lot of guys and use
Yep.
a lot of guys. I mean, that instance, it sounded
So I figured all females were like that.
sure.
So I was just gonna get what I wanted, and my drug of choice was I would lift weights, and then I would hunt. The
Hunt
next
down women. Yeah.
sex experience.
Mhm.
And I got told this, and this was really bad to get told as a 13-year-old. A whole bunch of buddies of mine were all hanging out, and they were smoking. Because even though I didn't smoke, I'd still hang out with them.
Sure.
Still have
Sure.
fun, do
Yeah.
things. One of my buddies' uncle came in, and he says, "What are you guys doing here sitting on the couch? You need to be out chasing these good-looking girls." And I'm like, Yeah, I know, right? And he was drunk at the time, but he said something that really impacted me, which I don't know if it should have, but it did. He says, guys, you can go on a beach, and you're gonna ask 100 women. Just go up to them. Hey, you want to have sex? To 100 women, you're gonna get smacked 99 times.
Yeah.
But you will find that one that and I don't know why, but that stuck. I would just go up to females at parties, wherever. Hey, you want to, go back to my place? Eventually I'm going to get told yes. And that started becoming my game.
Yeah.
That started becoming my drug.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
well,
girls,
that is an addiction.
Yeah.
There's groups for that too. Yeah.
And I didn't care how it made them feel.
Sure.
I was getting revenge from, all the women that, that I seen do this to other men.
Yeah.
Well, I'm them men now taking back revenge. And I did that from 14 to 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 5-year stretch, huh?
Yeah.
Just going wild.
That's all I did.
Shredding up Wichita.
Yeah. There's times where, somebody would call me with the wrong number. I'm like, hey, hey, you sound cute. There was no limits.
Somebody call you with the wrong number. Hey, you want to come over?
Yeah. And you'd be surprised. It's crazy.
I found this out because I thought more about it. A lot of us are nervous to ask, first of all, for that, but just ask for things in life. Ask for raises, ask for promotions, ask for different things. And if you can, if you're confident enough to ask for stuff, even if you think maybe you don't deserve it, it's amazing how many things people will give you and things. I have somebody in my family's younger, and I noticed this a long time ago with them, that they would always ask for stuff. Not that they were, I don't want to say like needy or trying to get stuff for free or being lazy. Not from that aspect at all. They just ask for stuff, and some people do in life, and I think those are the people that succeed.
Yeah,
you got to ask for, especially for what you want. But you can ask for, you can ask for stuff. You can wait a whole year for a raise, but you can work somewhere for 6 months and go and say, hey, I want a raise. I need a raise.
Yeah.
And that guy will probably get a raise. And you got another guy started at the same time, might even be a better worker than him, but he never went and asked.
Right.
So, this guy's make more than him all because he just went and asked. Yeah. It's such a simple concept, and it's weird that you brought that up that way, because I've been thinking about this recently, actually, just asking for stuff.
Closed mouth don't get fed.
Yeah.
And that's true.
Like
if you're hungry and you want my sandwich, ask me.
Mm-hmm.
I can either say yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
You just, and that's something that I never wanted to be. Growing up, seeing my dad being okay with, whatever they give you.
Mediocrity.
Right. Well, he's my boss. No, you're there working, you're making him money.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like you need a raise, sit down and talk to him and see what you can do.
Yeah, there's definitely that happy medium, and when you work, appreciate the job that they hired you, but don't, you don't need to let them abuse you or treat you unfairly. There's that fine line. Now you get the people on the other side that think they need to be treated really good.
Right.
So there's
nothing.
Yeah, there's that fine line for sure. But nothing wrong with having some ambition and wanting to ask for things.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Now I lost concentration where we are. So around 20 you quit that, and when did you find your the woman you settled down with for a little while?
I was going on 21.
21?
Yeah. And she's an ex-wife of mine, baby mama, whatever you want to say it. But when we got together, she was the sweetest, and I put her through hell for 2 years, because I'm still in the back of my mind, you'll leave just like all the other females. Yeah. I ain't worried about it. I'm still going to do what I got to do, and I did. At that time I was, if I had a phone call at 2 a.m. to go make, some money, bye. You know, I would just get up and leave.
Mm-hmm.
She'd wake up in the morning, I wasn't there. Oh, okay, you know. But and then I started realizing she's not leaving. You know, what's going on here? You know, I put you through hell
Yeah.
for 2 years straight, and you're not gone. What's going on? Well, I love you.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what's that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've never felt that for a very long time. And, you know, we have our differences now. But when we first got together, man, she was something that I've never, ever experienced.
Yeah.
Loving, caring.
She just loved you for you.
Yep.
And you hadn't experienced that in a long time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she always told me, you know, I don't care if we're living in a box as long as I'm living with you. I don't care. You know, and that meant more to me than what she realizes.
Yeah.
You know, and I started slowing down. I started okay. And then, you know, she started growing. She started to notice things that everybody else just kind of put away. Oh, you can't read? You can't write? 21 years old. Can't read and write. Well, how did you get a job? I went in, scribbled on some paper. They says, well, what is this? I says, well, do you want to hire me or not? Okay, well, show me what you can do. I didn't know how to fill out applications. I don't, but she noticed that, and instead of just brushing it off, she says, no, you know, you need to better yourself if you're gonna, you know, and man, she changed me. It took her, you know, 2-3 years to teach me how to read and write. And I remember going places and I would speak and she would correct me.
Yeah.
And I was raised, you know, oh, that's disrespectful. But on the other hand, outside of the group that I was raised, no, she's teaching me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I had to tell my family, I had to tell my friends, you know, she's not disrespecting me. She's teaching me how to speak.
Well, she loved you. She wanted you to look better. She
Right.
wanted you to be better yourself. She wasn't saying it to look down upon you. She
Right.
loved you.
Yep.
And when you said something that wasn't correct, she loved you. So she said it out of love.
Yeah.
Obviously, in this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
That's
just,
special.
she built me up, you know, to her and her family, you know, they built me up to basically who I am right now. I wish, and her grandmother lives in Iowa, and that's, I think me and you had that conversation, where every time she would come down to Wichita, we would sit and talk and discuss about life and all that. And she's a loving, godly woman, you know. Nobody could do wrong, you know, there's always a happy story, you know, and we was sitting down like we do most of the time when she comes in. Everybody's, you know, it's probably 10, 11 o'clock usually, nights winding down, and everybody's done visiting, and me and her will go off to the kitchen and sit down and talk.
Yeah.
And it got on the conversation of, you know, my parents didn't teach me nothing. You know, how can I respect them if they don't teach me? Why am I going to talk to them? Why am I going to, you know, why am I going to do anything for them? Because at this time, I was done with that.
Yeah.
You know, I was doing my own thing, you know, had my woman, you know, all this. And I would sit and, like we're talking right now, just talk. I wish we had a podcast going, because it would have been a really good one.
But then, I can think of a lot of conversations I wish were on tape.
Yeah.
It's funny, those late night ones after a long day, especially with somebody older,
Yeah.
like her. There's some magic in that.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I you know, she knew more than a lot of people did, because I know I can tell her, hey, I murdered a guy, and she'll, well, pray about it.
Yeah.
You know, I knew she wouldn't judge me.
Sure.
So I opened up to more to her than anybody in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody. And, after a couple hours of talking and everything, it's probably midnight, 1 o'clock. I know she's fixing to go to bed. She needs to go to bed, But after we get done, she looks at me and she says, Robert, she says, I think your parents taught you more than what you thought. I said, no, they didn't teach me nothing. She's like, okay, do you hit your children? Are you an addict? Would you put your child in that situation or this situation or that situation? And I was like, no, I wouldn't. She says, looks to me like they taught you a hell of a story or, a life lesson right there.
Yeah.
And I just broke down.
Yeah.
Because it's true.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine, brother.
But it's true.
It's an emotional subject.
I got a 16-year-old and a 6-year-old. And my 16-year-old, he was probably 12 years old. And, I kept everything from him. And finally he says, Dad, I don't know you. What was this like? What was that? And I started telling him a little bit of stuff. And he says, wow, you went through hell. I says, yeah, I would do it again. In order for you not to.
Amen.
Yeah. Because I'm all right.
Yeah.
I got scars, anxiety, trust issues, separation anxiety. I've got a lot of stuff. But my kids don't.
Amen. Good job. Good job.
And there's no book to raising a kid. I mess up. I yelled when I should have loved. I spanked when I should have time out. I've done stuff. I pushed. But it was because I didn't want him to be an idiot like his father.
Yeah.
21 years old, can't read and write.
No.
I don't. God gave my oldest kid Malachi Alexander.
I love the name.
Got it out of the Bible.
Yeah.
Just like my youngest Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
But God blessed him with brains like his mama and street smarts and toughness like his daddy.
Well, you got a good combination.
Yeah.
I bet. Yeah.
I mean, this dude, man, when he came out, it was, everything was advanced. Everything was, happening before it was supposed to. Mm-hmm. And I get, you're proud of your kids, so you're going to, hold them up and all that. But even the doctors was like, well, he shouldn't be talking right now. He shouldn't be holding up his head. He should,
Yeah.
I remember a story trying to get Malachi into not kindergarten, but what is it, pre-K?
Mm-hmm. Pre-K.
Yeah.
Kindergarten. Yeah.
And I guess there's only a certain amount of people that get accepted into pre-K, the ones that need the extra help or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So we took him down and got him tested for it, to see if he passed or whatever. And they denied him. And my son, he was wanting to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
He wants friends. He wants all this stuff. And, he did good on the test, too good. Well, we ended up going home and he's crying in tears. I want to go to school. So I start calling people.
Yeah.
I'm not getting off this phone until I figure something out. Why can't he go? Well, at the time I wasn't told that he was above and beyond the test. That's why he didn't get accepted. They didn't tell me that.
Oh.
They just said, no, he got denied. So I'm like, okay, why? Try to figure it out and this, that, and everything else. And finally, a lady says, no. He didn't get denied because of this. He did too well. And, and that was one of them moments where it's like, okay, we have something here.
Yeah.
So we started just working with him. And it was like, I was doing everything I could to make something happen for him. but there was nothing really I could do because of he was gifted, you know.
Sounds like it's amazing.
Yeah. Next year, he went into kindergarten, and he went in reading signs on the wall and stuff, and
Wow.
immediately teacher's like, "You got the right class?" I'm like, "Yeah," you know. So she said, "Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna get him tested for gifted."
Oh.
I'm like, "Cool." Kindergarten, he scored 119 on his IQ test.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's probably more than mine right now.
Who are you
It
telling?
probably is. I know you.
Who are you telling?
How's he doing now?
Now that me and his mother separated, because she was the smart one, I was the backbone, keep him straight.
Yeah.
But now he's doing good. 9th grade year. He's in 10th grade now.
That's a tough year.
Yeah.
Getting into all that stuff you can get into.
Yeah. And it was just, hey, Dad's gone. I can relax now.
Oh boy.
I don't have to do nothing.
Yeah.
And he didn't do very well. And everybody noticed.
Yeah.
And we had our problems, and, oh, well, you wasn't a good father. Well, look where I came from, dude.
Yeah.
I did the best I could, and the older he gets, the more he realizes, oh, that's why you said this. That's why, you disciplined me, he's getting it now.
Mm-hmm.
But it took 2 years of, me and him arguing constantly.
And then he'll get it more and more too.
Yeah.
The older he goes,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Now, your son, the 6th, was that with her too?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And he lives with you most of the time?
Most of the time, yep.
Yeah. Is that why he just wants to?
Yeah.
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 Or you guys are pretty cordial, so you can probably go back and forth as he pleases a little bit, or whatever.
Yeah,
That's
whatever
good.
he wants.
That's good.
Majority of the time, he wants his dad.
Yeah.
But, sometimes he does want to go over there.
Sure.
And I'm like, cool, I need a break too, you know?
Yeah.
But I know he goes over there within 2 or 3 hours. He'll be FaceTiming me, calling me.
It's got to make you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like yesterday, I wanted to get prepared for here. So I called her and says, hey, can you take Joseph tonight? I'm kind of tired, got some things I got to do. Not a problem. But he's going to want you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I know. That made me feel good.
Sure.
But.
Well, that's, you got quite an extraordinary story. I'm thinking so many thoughts here. I can't hardly put them together. I guess I always boil down to when we share stories, and I'm going to definitely have to have a part 2 and a part 3 with Robert.
I expected that.
What I would like to get out, and if you have something on your heart you need to share yet, that's fine, but here as we kind of get closer to the end, maybe some advice for single parents, some advice for people that have grown up in dysfunctional homes. Hope that you don't got to be your surroundings. You can be your own person. Stuff like that is kind of where my mind's going now. See if we can dig some inspiration out of all this that happened.
And that's one thing that I've been thinking about. What can I tell somebody that's going through what I'm going through, or going through what I've been through, or went through what I went through,
or is in it right now?
Yeah. Counselors, I didn't tell nobody because I didn't know better.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I couldn't read or write. I couldn't, my comprehension. I mean, I was not,
That's interesting. You couldn't read or write till you were 21 because you seem really intelligent just talking to you.
That's.
I mean, you would never guess that.
Right.
Visiting with you.
Right.
Because you articulate your words very well.
Thanks to my ex-wife.
You appear to seem like there's something going on upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's very interesting.
Yeah. I from the beginning, my wife, why don't you text back? I'm like, I ain't doing that, you know.
Huh.
But I remember starting off learning cat, hat, that with my ex-wife
That's
at home.
amazing.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then we'd be driving down the highway or something, and she'd say, you know, what does that billboard say? And I'd get the first couple words out, and then we'd drive past.
Yeah, because you have to read it quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was over here, the insure, you know.
Yeah.
I started from day one, from kindergarten, basically.
Wow.
I just, the school just, you know, oh, well, you know, we don't want to deal with it. Let the next teacher. And that just kept going.
And then you dropped out pretty early? Or did you graduate?
11th grade.
11th grade?
Yeah. Just because I couldn't keep trying to survive jobs and go to school at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't do it.
So the lesson there is kids, school is important. At least get you some high school in you.
Very important. Learn how to read.
Yeah.
Because that, I mean, honestly, reading changed my whole life.
Oh, well, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I can read directions. I can,
Yeah.
you know, watch TV and read what's on. There is so much that a daily life of reading, and it's just you feel ignorant without it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but minute one I started and it took me 4 or 5 years of doing this constantly
Yeah.
to actually start, you know, speaking well, or, you know, articulating my, you know, whatever. I there's times where I still, you know, I used to could do that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I just don't want to think, and I just,
Yeah.
you know, talk or say however I feel at the time. But, you know, like, again, I can act, you know.
Yeah.
If I'm in a situation where I need to,
Mhm.
I can be that.
Mm-hmm.
It took a while. On advice, it's hard to give somebody advice. You know, if you're young and you're going through this, you don't need to go through this.
Yeah.
You know, there's other options. There's other family members. There's counselors. You know, I wish I opened up. Even if I got, and this is going to sound bad or whatever, there's times where I look back and I'm like, if I had you as my parent, oh, dude, I'd be unstoppable right now,
Yeah.
you know? Or my wife's grandmother, if I had her as a mom. Now, again, who I am right now, it's because I went through that.
Yeah. Yeah, you see that, and that's good to see.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, you could have been a good person, not had to, but everybody's life's different. But, you know, you say, looking at other people, and we've all done that, so I wouldn't feel bad in saying if those were my parents or whatever to have it. Well, you know, you got a 6-year-old, so when he's your age, you know, he's gonna look back and say, my dad made me who I am today. I'm wealthy because what my dad taught me about finances. I'm a good person because what my dad told me about love. So, you know, it's always up to us to change the next generation and learn from it. Hopefully they learn from us, because we make mistakes too. I tried my hand at about 3 years of raising kids, and that's difficult.
Yeah, it's
hard,
tough.
especially being a single dad. You know, and I know there's many times that I wanted to get mad, and you just can't, because they don't understand why this is so wrong, or whatever, and they're trying to figure out their own way in life, you know, and you know, you want them so bad to understand that why you're trying to discipline them, and it's hard to get through.
Yeah.
Which I know you deal with that well on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I don't anymore. I'm back in the single realm.
You know, and there's no rhyme, there's no reason, there's no handbook, there's, you know, you try to do as well as you can with what you have, and hope to God that everything turns out.
I would say the key factor, and it's the key factor in the good book, the Bible, is love. Unconditional love. You know, you say love covers a multitude of sins, and I think that goes right along with being a dad. You know, you're going to do some wrong things, but if you love them unconditionally, they're going to overlook some of those things.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing, really, I think, is to teach people or encourage people to be happy, not rich. There's a lot of rich, depressed people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've always said that when I have my first kid, my main goal is I'm going to teach them about finance stuff that I wasn't taught about, but the main thing is happiness.
Yeah.
Happiness. I don't want them to be happy working at Walmart their whole life, but if they did and they were happy, I would be happy, but that's not where I'm going with that. Just be happy, find some goals and go after them, but above all else, be happy.
Yeah.
Spend time with those you love and stuff. I always think about talking about the addict deal, whoever it is, whether it's a friend, a mom, or if it's somebody you love. And I feel like there's just so many people out there. There's 22 million current substance abusers in the United States right now. I saw that statistic on my phone a couple days ago. And through this podcast and on my channel and some of my other series, I pray every day that somebody can skim across something and read and see that it is possible to get out of that. Reach out to a higher power, reach out to a family member, but you can't see until you can see, and you can't hear until you can hear. And for those of you that got family members in addiction and stuff, it's crazy. There's not a whole lot you can do other than love them and you can encourage them, but that's a bad deal. It's like your mom, I'm sure, and I don't know, but I'm sure there's times she wish you wouldn't she suck out treatment a few times, but you have to really want it.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to break, and you don't realize how you affect people and how you hurt people along the way.
Yeah.
She probably to this day doesn't sound like she probably knows, but doesn't want to admit.
Exactly.
Sounds like from what you said, she don't even want to admit it,
Yeah.
and you don't because it makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I can almost guarantee she spent many times probably crying about her
Oh,
life
I'm sure.
and the way she treated you guys. But sometimes it's just hard to break that chain.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's like a circle.
Yeah,
You
that's
know.
the devil's grasp, But it sounds like you were the one to break that generation in your family, break that, you were able to stay away from that.
Yeah.
Hopefully your kids will be able to, and then it'll break that cycle.
One thing that I've noticed, and this kind of, scares me, but, I lived it. I learned from their mistakes, and then I didn't do it. Well, my kids don't see, okay, alcohol does this to a person. Now, those drugs does, so they're going to get older and not have the negative experiences with alcohol, so they're going to be more willing to drink.
Probably.
You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things, it's skipping generations and stuff. Well, I know exactly what alcohol does to a person, or over an abundance of alcohol does to a person. I've seen it firsthand. Well, I'm protecting my children from that, so they're not going to grow up thinking that that's negative, and that scares me.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, go and spend a week with your grandma. It's see what it is.
Maybe run them through the homeless district once a month and say, this is where drugs and alcohol
Yeah.
will get you.
Yeah.
They'll get you a house right there on the corner, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that, has me, worried. But if I talk to them, constantly,
Yeah, I would say, I think now you've embraced it. I wouldn't be afraid to openly talk about drugs and alcohol. I think that's a big problem in America.
Yeah.
I was talking to a pastor about going and speaking, and people go and speak to the youth and stuff, and basically what we get out of it is drugs and alcohol are bad. No, I'm going to tell you what happened in my life, because I was a good Christian boy sitting in youth just like you 20 years ago when I was 14.
Yeah.
And you can turn down the wrong road, and before you know it, the devil's got you by the cojones, and it's hard to let go. That's why I say it, and I'll say it 1,000 times, just leave the door closed if you can.
Yeah.
And if you do open it through them years that we like to call experimenting, or I always liked and I embraced a good old boy spirit, and I'm a country boy, and men just kind of go through that phase, and that's just what you do when you drink, you're sniffing out. But no, I've come to realize you don't have to do that. It's much better off thinking of guys that stayed away from parties and stuff and were more focused in life. They're just doing so much better. Feel like I'm years behind. Well, I am, but like you saying, it's important for you because what you saw, to not let that go to waste, to try to instill that in your kids, good values, and not being that way, staying away from drugs and alcohol. Hopefully what you went through can pay dividends, because you can make sure and not do that,
right,
and give your kids love. I often say, I used to say the last 14 years of my life was a waste. Well,
you learned something from it.
Yeah, I say, if I can help one young fella, then the last 14 years of my life wasn't a waste, which has become a passion of mine. That's why I go out and speak and stuff now, and it's become a passion because, and I'll get emotional here because I always say this, because the last 14 years of my life will not be a waste if I can save one person. So that's kind of the same deal in a roundabout way. It's important to, and I don't know, and that's why God always says, or people say that don't have faith, and I'm sure you've said this before, why am I going through this, or why did I have to go through this? And that's a question nobody can really answer. I think there's a bigger plan that we don't know about, but at the same time it doesn't make sense.
Right.
For sure. Speaking biblically, you could say, well, God could have just plucked me out of there and put me in a different home, but
there's a reason, like I said a little earlier, I went through all that, but me going through that's going to guarantee my kids not to do it.
Amen.
That might be the reason right there.
Mm-hmm.
I would do it all again if that means, my two kids don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because that is literally hell.
Mm-hmm.
We've only got to the there's a lot more stories. There's a lot more, everywhere from knocking on my mom's friend's door and a bullet goes over my head at 8 years old.
Okay, that's a whole episode there.
Yeah, just you name it. I've seen my mom get raped. I've seen my mom, right next to me, but I'm 7 years old. I can't do nothing. This dude's, 6 foot 280. I'm, Mom, roll over. It's okay. In the same bed. It's like, there's a lot more, and I would love to come back on and talk to more. Maybe I could be more prepared next time.
Oh,
instead of just rambling.
No, you weren't rambling. You were very well put together.
Okay.
This was interesting, encouraging, and it's encouraging. For one, that you can grow up in a horrid situation and become a good man, and love your kids and be a good friend. So that's the moral of the story, the moral of a wild story.
Things could have went a lot of different ways if I took different paths.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, I didn't have the Bible. Obviously, look, if I did, things would be different. But I've been saved. I've did my own research. Every Christmas, first thing we do in the morning on Christmas is sing happy birthday, to Jesus. It's just,
that's awesome.
Putting the little stuff that I do know, like my 16-year-old, this was probably 5-6 months ago. I was dropping him off after lifting weights or something, I forget. And he says, hey, we never done it, but I'm kind of thinking about going to church.
Love it.
Really? I'm like, it was Friday. I said, we can go this Sunday if you want. And then he's like, well, being a teenager, wanting to hang out with his friends and all that. But, it just, a year and a half, 2 years ago, he was talking about being an atheist. And I'm like, dude, you wasn't raised like this, man. And it was, every time you'd bring up God or something, he would just kind of, stop listening. But now I went out and bought him a cross necklace.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hope you like this, man. I hope you wear it. He says, dude, I love this.
Well, if he's that age, he's good. He likes good food. He likes to eat a lot, probably at that age. So here's how you get him, because it don't matter how you get him. You got to get him. You just call him up Saturday night and say, hey, if you go to church with me, I'll take you to lunch wherever you want to go in Wichita.
Right.
Because I bet 3 out of the 10 times at least he's going to go with you, if nothing else, just to go eat. But what he may pick up in between the church service, is a miracle. Something that really stuck out, you said, obviously your life was crazy, and your parents, because there was no Bible in the home and there's drinking and drugs. I lived in a house with a Bible, no drinking, no drugs. And I was an addict for 14 years and destroyed a lot of lives. And you never were an addict. And were probably a better friend than me, because I was a pretty bad friend for a lot of years to some friends that really loved me. So it's interesting, I grew up in a way that was much better, and I went way off the path. And that's always my story. It almost doesn't matter how you grew up. Drugs and alcohol, they can get you. It does not matter who you are.
Right.
When I went to treatment, I was in there with people that owned pediatrics or something. This guy owned his own clinic, actually here within not too far of a radius. And it just blew my mind. Somebody like that did all this schooling and was that dedicated and had his own practice and doctors working under him. Here he was in treatment with me, at 48 years old.
Yeah.
And before that, they tell me a story of a lawyer that was in there, some of the other people, and it doesn't matter. It can get you no matter what the case. It's amazing what that stuff will do, and what it'll do to your life. I mean, look what your mother's addiction did to your life. It affected your schooling. Well, it affected your emotions. Every part of your life that her choices affected, and I think that's really important to look at it. Leave that door closed, and if it's open right now, boy, figure out how to get that bad boy closed.
Yeah. That's why I'm sitting here with you.
Because
I'm trying to empty my closet out.
Empty it out. It affects so many people, and then it's just so harmful. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it very much.
It's terrible, and to you or to a normal person, it's just, I'm just going out and having a good time. But, to the young people that are looking up to you, that might be, a scar or, something bad to remember for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
It's...
Well, the thing about bad times is they can turn into, or good times, they can turn into bad times pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly.
There is a lot of people out there that can, speaking of drinking, that can drink and stuff, but the thing is, it's really not worth it. I said on a podcast, now that I'm sober, when I see guys coming to work in the morning, they're red-faced, a little irritated, there's a few, I was like, man, I'm glad I'm not in that life.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. So you've been blessed. You stayed away from that for sure. You don't have that because you probably know you have a predisposition to addiction. It's inside of you.
Yeah.
And if you started doing hard drugs, you'd awake a lion that you never knew you had. And,
exactly.
And you would probably be.
I would love to.
You'd probably be 6 months and you'd be out the door.
Oh yeah. I would love to, go home, take some drinks, and cover up my scars and stuff like that. What person wouldn't want to?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
It's too addicting. It's too. I don't want to do it, and ooh, that felt good.
Yeah.
I don't want to. So I'm okay with being stubborn, hard-headed, angry, whatever. To cover that stuff up, man, I can't do that to other people around me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Yeah. It's just too easy.
Yeah.
$20 for a bottle or however much it is. $30 for a 6-pack, 30-pack, whatever.
We could both get drunk on $8. Believe me, when you drink as much as I did, you learn how to get the cheap stuff. You can get a $7.50 McCormick's for like $8.
My mom, she still does it to this day. It's a bottle of KD for like $4.50 or whatever it is.
Kentucky Deluxe.
Yeah, she'll drink that with water.
Yeah.
And she'll just, she don't do it to get a buzz or have a good time. She does it just to get flat out, So there's something in here, and I've tried to take my mom to church. I started going to church. Me and the ex-wife did when my 16-year-old was 6, 7, 8, something like that. I don't remember, but I got saved. I did that whole thing, and it felt good. It made me feel good. It brought me closer to God, which I'm cool with that,
Yeah. Amen.
But I try to ask my mom, hey, come over to this guy's house with us, sit down and talk. Well, this man started, reading about. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't know much about the Bible.
Sure.
Always wanted to, but just don't. But the who's the woman that slept with a lot of men? She's in one of the one where Mary is that
you talking about the woman by the well?
Yeah,
that story?
by the well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he started reading about her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my mom automatically, what did you tell him? I'm like, they don't know nothing.
Talking about her pastor running around. Yeah.
So she automatically got up and left.
Oh wow.
I'm like, this man don't know us. He just picked something that he wanted to pick.
And that's actually a good story for somebody that thinks that way, because that's about God said, it's fine, your past is your past, let's go. He said, draw my water. Mm-hmm. Because nobody would they said, don't let her draw your water, she's a whore. Well, that's not exactly what I said, but this is how the story goes. Everybody's like, no, don't let her draw your water, she's had many husbands and blah, blah, blah. And God said, she's one of my children, she can draw my water. Yeah. And he says something to the extent of, I forgive your past, now go on and quit doing this.
Right.
Which people get so confused with the Bible, it's because you sin, you're not going to hell. You can drink, getting drunk's a sin. Having sex outside of marriage is a sin. We're all fault to that. But you repent, you say, I'm sorry I did this, and then you move on. It's the problem is when you live in that sin.
Constant.
Yeah. Constant living in there, So that's the story there. Although stuff like that's hard for single men, but I think a lot of things in the Bible. I looked up. This is interesting. I looked up how can we change the world, or the 10 best ways to change the world. I read it on Google. All 10 of them were exactly what the Bible teaches and has taught for thousands and thousands of years. So people that are a Bible thumper, this or that. Like, this book could change the world. It's the same stuff that you read off of Google that you think, whatever. Basically taken out of the Bible, So it's interesting. People have a hard time with the Bible, and a lot of people get messed up on religion as younger kids. I've had that conversation with a lot of people.
Yeah.
How did a guy put it like this? He said, religion is like this. Religion is like a guy sitting in church thinking about fishing. But a relationship with God is a guy out fishing thinking about Jesus.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always wanted to learn more about it. But, again, me not reading and, all the comprehension, all that.
Yeah.
And then when I started to, there would be times where I would tell the wife, hey, I'm gonna go upstairs, get away from all the noise and try. Mm-hmm. I just, I couldn't do it,
Yeah, it's first of all,
still for that long.
If you're reading out of a King James, that's difficult.
Yeah.
NIV, I think, is the way to go. And for years, I read the Bible. I've said this before. I said I was the weirdest addict ever. I'd have drugs in one hand and a Bible in the other. Because that was my roots.
Right.
And, I think that's why I always had to take it to the extreme, and why I got depressed the next day. My buddies never did, because I knew the truth. I knew what I was doing was wrong. I'd pick up a chick at a party, and we'd be doing dope or whatever, and, get laid or whatever, and the next day my buddies would be like, man, she was hot, and I'd be, yeah, but I'd just be depressed, because I knew it was wrong. In my walk, and everybody's walk's different, but to me, I was just raised that you shouldn't do that. So I always had that depression. So then I battled that on top of my addiction, which really, then it just makes it worse. And the devil wants us to go out and sin, and then you think, oh, well, the devil's happy now because I went out and did drugs and God's mad at me. But it's the opposite. God wants you to be like, okay, you realize this is wrong, quit doing it. The devil wants you to think that like God's mad at you for doing this,
right.
and that's just not the case.
Yeah.
And for years I was like, well, I let God down. Well, from this second on, you cannot let him down, because if you keep feeling that way, the devil's winning. When you go do something bad, you get depressed about it, the devil wants you to be depressed about it, not God.
Right,
You do something wrong, ask for forgiveness, repentance, and you move on. Boom.
Yeah.
As long as it's in your heart. You can't do a line and then be like, please forgive me, God, and then do another line.
Right.
You
got to learn from that mistake that you're asking for forgiveness.
But and it took me a long time to realize that God doesn't want me to be sad or depressed because I drank or did drugs last night. He wants me to ask for forgiveness and move on.
Right.
The devil wants me to be sad about it, because chances are if I'm depressed about it, I'm going to do it again the next night.
Yep.
And it's just this crazy, messed up cycle. And I was in for a long time. And man, praise the Lord for pulling me out of that.
Yeah,
but when
awesome.
when it comes to reading, I read a long time, and I never got it. I'm sure you said that before. I don't get this. Now what's going on here?
Yeah.
Huh? First of all, slow down. Second of all, I think breathing exercises have become big in my life. They calm you down, they relax your mind. Just breathing in, holding it for 6 seconds and releasing it slowly, and then breathing in, and while you're breathing in, you take another breath on top of that.
Right.
And that calms you down. And then I always do that, because sometimes I'll sit down right here and I'll start to read my devotions, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. I'm reading it, but I'm not soaking it. I'm not understanding. I'm not soaking it. So I'll stop. I'll do my breathe. I'll say, Lord, please help me understand these words. Help me comprehend them. It says in the Bible to pray for wisdom. So I say, give me the wisdom. And then I read slowly. I'll read 3 or 4 verses, and I'll think about it. I might Google something or a name. And I've really gotten into studying it. I almost think you can't read the Bible. I ain't like telling people to read the Bible. Go study the Bible.
Right.
Because you can take 3 or 4 verses and go deep. And also learning what the stories are about. The whole New Testament is Paul, an apostle, writing letters to churches. Corinthians, Romans, these are all churches. The Corinth church, the Roman church. And when you do a little research first about what's going on, because most of the time people start off reading the New Testament because it was after the law. The Old Testament was under the law. Well, there's still a lot of good things in the Old Testament, but once you understand what's going on here, it makes way more sense. So I would encourage you to figure out what's going on first before you just try to read a chapter.
Right.
I have mine in the beginning is really cool. It tells you at the beginning of each chapter, it says, okay, this was Paul writing to this church. This is what was going on. He was writing to them because they've been getting jealous about this. And it sets you up. It's kind of like the preface of a book, if you know what that means, like the page in the beginning that tells you about the book. That's how my Bible is. And so then right off the bat, you know what's going on.
Right.
Because it's just like a story. That's why I said at the beginning here, I said, tell us something about you, because it's more interesting listening to somebody's story if you know something about them.
Right.
So we established where you were, you're a welder, you got kids, blah, blah. And now it was more interesting to listen to you. Same thing with the Bible. So I would encourage to study it, try to figure out who a couple of the main characters are first, and then go from there. Otherwise it don't make no sense.
Yeah. See, I just jumped in.
Yeah.
Just, okay, I'm going to learn this. And then I was reading it, but I wasn't keeping it.
Mm-hmm.
It was in one ear, out the other,
I wish somebody would have told me what I'm telling you years ago. And everybody in my family's Christian, and nobody, maybe they did, but I don't remember it. There's things that I find out, and granted, my growing up was fairly better than yours, but still, there's things that frustrate me. Why didn't y'all tell me about this? My big deal was about church. We were holding a Mennonites. It's all about the church, and you just don't hear enough about the relationship and the love of God and how to read the Bible. So I always like to share that because it's worked for me. I was like, I don't know what's going on. There's a 3-legged monster. There's a whore by the well. What is this dude just got stoned to death over here?
Right.
What is going on?
Yeah.
And it's crazy. So I found out who these people were. Why did this dude get stoned? Well, not just why did he get stoned. Who was he? Where did he come from? How is he here? All this, and put this story together. And then you can understand the text and why God is speaking through these people and saying this stuff.
Right.
And then, dude, it'll just come alive.
Yeah.
You won't be able to put it down. Like I told you, I didn't even know I had my Bible. Dead serious.
Yeah. Yeah, I seen you walk in this morning holding it.
I was reading it in my car. I didn't even know, and then I folded it up, and Cassie called, and I was walking in town. Like, wait, I got my Bible in here. But you'll get, and I've just naturally leave the house with it because sometimes at lunch I like to read, but it's only because I know the story, I know the outline, I know the people, I know what's going on, I know the movement. So now it's really interesting to me.
See, and the cool thing about people like me is, you know, I can read, I can do that, but holding it, you know, storing it.
Mm-hmm.
If I watch, and I've always said this, growing up, if you taught me with a movie, I would get it. YouTube's my best friend.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
You know, I love it. I listen to, at work, I listen to how to be a better man, how to be a better father, how to be a better coworker, how to be a better leader.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're planting good seeds.
Yeah. I'm for the past couple of years, when me and the ex-wife, you know, divorced, separated, it was, now what? You know, I thought I was going to be with her for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't blame her for leaving. You know, she had her reasons. You know, I wasn't the best husband. Mm-hmm. You know, and she'll tell you, you know, you were a damn good dad, but husband, you know, and I wasn't the best. You know, I made situations harder sometimes. I, you know, would, you know, have a job, and then I'm like, well, my supervisor's, you know, 10 years younger than me, trying to tell me, you know, what to do. And I'm like, dude, I run circles around you, you know, so I would just get irritated and just tell them, you know, I'm out.
I'm like a story of my life.
Yeah.
I left a lot of good jobs because I thought I was something I wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing is, you know, if I would have had these things, tools that I have now, the YouTube and all this, I think I'd be different, you know, back then or whatever. I regret doing what I did, as of, you know, leaving jobs and, you know, thinking this way and, you know, getting angry about this situation. Mm-hmm. But again, all that led me to where I'm at now.
Yeah.
You know, BMG, love that job, you know.
I loved what you said in that meeting. You know, we used to all just help each other out here. I like that. Yeah. You know, and I immediately thought that's just the way it used to be everywhere. Yeah. It's just getting away from that.
It is.
Speaking of, you know, first of all, I had to become real humble because for years I was like, oh, I'm better. I'm gonna go somewhere else. These people are retarded, you know, or whatever. Always thinking we're superior. First of all, that's ego. I let that go, and life's become a lot better. Yeah. You know, Dave picked up that little piece of wood on the table. Goes, this is us. We all think we're so big and our problems matter. This is, you know, this is what we, you know, we're just nothing. We're a little speck. Yeah. Tons of people in the world. Once you realize, I think, how small you are, or I'll say it like this: once I realized how small I am, and it's weird. Life started to get easier. Not downing on myself, because I am confident in my work and the knowledge I've gained over the years, and I demand a certain wage when I go somewhere. But that's not out of ego. That's nowadays just out of confidence. Yeah. But just knowing that there are people that do things better than you. There are guys that are 25, 9 years younger than me, that probably can do certain things better than me because they have that skill. Emerson said it the best. He said, I had that quote go, I loved it. I know that every man I meet is superior to me in some way. Not that they're superior to me, just in some way. Some way. Some people can read better, some people can think better, some people can well better. You know, it's and once you realize that, I think if people could just take that Emerson quote and realize that in certain aspects, everybody you meet is superior to you in one way or another. Yeah. And not as a whole, but in just certain areas. And which obviously you can't realize that unless you have some humility. Life just gets easier. When we quit thinking we're so great, life just gets better. for years I thought I was a good person until I realized no, I was not a good person. That really helped. I promote that all the time on here. Lose your ego.
Yeah.
Lose your ego.
And it's
love
hard.
Everybody. Oh, it's hard.
You know.
Oh, it's hard.
For the manly man, you know, to, you know, and it's crazy because when you do have kids and, you know, your kid, Joseph, my youngest, you know, he thinks I'm Superman now. Just like I thought my dad was, you know, he's, you know, oh, you're the best and, you know, you fish better than everybody. Well, he don't know that guy downstream has caught way more than what Dad has.
Well, let him keep thinking that. Right. Roll with that
for a while. Yeah. It makes me feel good.
Yeah,
you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap this up, Robert. It's been exceptional.
Yep.
I didn't know how long we went. I know it's well over an hour, which is good. So, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks for opening up your heart and sharing.
Thanks for inviting.
It was
It's
good.
awesome.
And we'll see you back again.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I knew that'd be good, but geez, brother.
Yeah. And that was only the tip of it.
How long did we go?
Oh, yeah. We went an hour and 58 minutes.
Yeah, we did.
I shut that.
Went 2 hours?
Yeah.
Nice.